Okay, so today we are doing our Shadow Council question and answer. Before we dive into this kind of shadowy, darker energy, which is of course a part of the Halloween series here, um, I want to set up a really strong sacred space with everyone. So let's do that first, and then we'll jump into who the Shadow Council is, why they exist, like what their job is or what their purpose is. And then we'll start asking them some really interesting questions, things like Ouija boards, possession, sleep paralysis, and then some other questions that I'm sure we will all be coming up with as we move through this. So let's do our sacred space. So get comfortable. Get into a nice, either leaned back, relaxed state or feeling like your body just get nice and heavy and relaxed. I'd like it if you could place your hands over your heart with me. And then we are going to take some nice deep breaths together. And I want you to know that with every single breath, your mind is getting quieter, your body is getting more still. You are coming more into your body as the soul energy, pulling that from, if you're hovering above yourself right now, let's pull that into the body, bringing the soul fully into the body, bringing the consciousness fully into this present moment. Okay, so take a nice deep inhale starting now. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Another deep breath in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Last deep breath in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Good. So just continue breathing in a nice relaxed way. You can place your arms, hands down where they're comfortable now. As I call into your space on your left-hand side, Archangel Michael coming in strong on the left, coming in right into your auric energy. On the right-hand side, we're going to call in Archangel Raphael, coming with that beautiful healing light. In front of you, we're calling in your dragon guide. Everybody here has a dragon guide. Your very protective dragon guide is coming in front with their beautiful fire, the ability to like burn away any negative entities, dark energies, parasites, anything that, might try to kind of come into your space, because we're kind of talking about some shadowy stuff. So we're going to have a dragon. In fact, I'm actually feeling the dragon already starting to burn away for some of us. So feel that if there is a stream of fire, I feel it going into the crown really, really powerfully right now, already burning away. I'm seeing the burning away of frightening like thoughts. When you have sometimes psychic attacks can feel like thoughts entering into your mind that are not yours. They're very scary. That is being burned away right now. And your dragon says they're not done. They're going to be going down the front of the body, burning away any kind of darker energies that are trying to camouflage themselves as you. And it is not you. It is not your anxiety. It's not your issue. It is not your worry. It is a psychic attack. And that is going up in flames. So don't be surprised if you feel some heat or some raising of the body temperature there. Okay, so that's in front. Behind us, who are we calling in behind us? I'm seeing this, I'm pausing because I don't know what it is yet, but I'm seeing this great big white orb. And I'm like, what am I looking at here? Oh, sorry. They said oversoul. Normally I call in the highest self, but it looked different today. And so I paused on that. It's the oversoul. Okay, good. So again, on the left, Michael, on the right, Raphael, in front, a dragon already doing work. Behind you, oversoul. Also, a lot of people don't realize the oversoul is extremely protective as well. I see a theme here. We are just being surrounded by so much protection. All the big guns are here. So going to ask these beings that are surrounding us to fill us up now with their love. Feel that love entering into your aura and then entering into your system. Fill us up with your healing. Feeling that coming into the system deeply. Fill us up with your support and guidance, and surround us with your protection. So asking for these guides to place a big bubble of protection around us now that acts like a filter to our highest good. Only if it's for your highest good will you be able to perceive of it, connect with it, communicate with it, experience it. Okay, good. Also getting a sign from the guides now that they're doing a frequency rising. So, okay, so a lot of spontaneity in today's sacred space. So your guides that are surrounding you, the four that I just mentioned, are now raising up your vibrational frequency. The cells that are vibrating in your body, the literal matter, starts to vibrate faster. It starts at the toes, and it always feels like percolation, where there's like little bubbles rising. And basically, these guides are trying to get your frequency as high as your body can possibly handle in this moment in time. So here we go with the bubbling. It's like picture a kettle boiling, and all of that steam and all of that percolation and all of those bubbling energies are going up, 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 up through the body, coming in through the feet, up through the legs, up through the stomach, the chest, the arms, until it goes whoosh right at the top of your head. Feel the vibrations of your body getting faster and faster and faster, and maybe even your heart is speeding up a little bit. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, beautiful. So now we're going to connect to God Source, Father, Mother, God, from where you exist at the edge of the universe, where the stars end. There is a doorway of light. Open that door to us now, God Source, and let your white, purest light pour down over us. And I see not just white, but I see little sparkles of rainbows, like little different colored sparkles of all the different colors of the rainbow inside of this white light today. And as it comes down through the heavens, coming down towards earth, it now comes down through the ceiling of the room that you're in, hovering and then touching you right on the top of the head in 3, 2, 1. Feel the pressure as it goes into the crown chakra. It feels like a whooshing down feeling, pressure pushing down on the head, the sinuses, the eyes. It's white, very thick white light going, creating pressure in the ears right now, going down, down, down the throat, over the shoulders, pushing down. So going the opposite direction of the percolating energy, this white light goes in and finds all the little cracks and all the little ways to fill you back up with light, so that you're holding as much light as possible. In fact, you're holding so much white light that you are now glowing. I'm going to ask God Source to anchor us here in the light. Hold us in a cocoon of light, each one of us individually, because we plan on connecting and talking to a little bit of a lower energy for information today, and we know we can do that safely, but we ask you, God Source, to hold us in your white light cocoon, to anchor us into your heart of truth, to let everything that gets channeled today be anchored in truth. Let it be divinely true, divinely timed and orchestrated for the highest good of all. And we thank you so much. And now I want to call on the Shadow Council. Seeing the archangels, which is the lower angelic dimension. I don't mean low as in low. I mean, let me rephrase that. The angelic dimensions start at around, most people believe they start at 12th dimension. We've got ascended masters in 11, and then we usually get into angelic energy around 12, 13, 14, 15 and up kind of thing. Well, the archangels tend to be in the 12th, right? So when I say lower, I just meant the bottom of the angelic dimensions. It's not a hierarchy. It's that they need to have that kind of stronger warrior-like energy to be archangels. That means that they're used to dealing with shadows. They're used to going to the lower realms. Think of Archangel Michael. Think of people like that. Spiritual warriors, they've got their light weapons. They're okay going to the underworld. They're okay going to the lower realms. They have the confidence to handle that. They come out unscathed, and they go there to bring the light to the places where it is needed the most. They go down there because they're looking for lost souls, right? So when I called on the Shadow Council, the archangels showed up instead. So let's just see why that is. Okay, so the archangels are sharing with me that they want to tell me what the Shadow Council is. So they're saying a Shadow Council is, if you think about the lower realms as the realms below Earth. So we're going to talk today about 2D, 1D, and 0D. Okay, 0D being like the full-on underworld. We're talking about 2D, 1D, 0D. So those three dimensions are the ones that we're going to be talking about today. Those are considered our lower dimensions that we can connect with. There has to be something, some kind of divine presence that kind of watches over these realms to make sure that free will is still being used, and to make sure that everything is, I mean, what's the best way to say, like, just to run things, to keep everything running smoothly. To be a member of the Shadow Council, you are a go-between between the above realms and the lower realms. There's like a right in the middle, right? There's this go-between, and it is an actual council of a mixed beings. I'm seeing that we do have an archangel on the Shadow Council. So that's surprising. I thought they were all going to be shadow beings, but it's not. We've got an archangel there as a go-between between the angelic dimensions and the shadow dimensions. We have an ascended master there as a go-between between humanity and the shadow realms. Reason being, ascended masters were humans. They know what the human experience is like. They know what it's like to go through trials and tribulations, think like what Jesus went through, and then they eventually make it to their ascension. So we've got I said ascended master, but then I said Jesus for a reason, because I actually feel like this literally is what people think of as Jesus. Like, I believe Jesus, it was a real human being that had tapped into this really, really powerful realm, I guess, of unconditional love. He just happened to tap into it here on earth and just had an unbelievable experience and became this great example. Anyway, so we've got Jesus here, we've got Archangel Michael here, and then we get into some shadowy creatures. So let me tell you about who I'm seeing here. I am seeing a being that is wearing a black cloak. They are much taller than anyone else standing here, so extremely, extremely tall. It's the way death is usually portrayed in movies, where you can't see a face, you can just see black shadow inside the hood, and then the hood pulled over, and then you can't see anything except for the hands are bones, skeleton hands. Okay, so I do believe that we are literally speaking to the death personified, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's a being. Okay, they're telling me something else. One second. They're saying that there are particular angels that are there to help souls cross over. And then there are angels, like the angel of death, that gather up souls that choose not to cross over. This would be that. So this cloaked figure, we're going to call death, angel of death, gathers up the souls that decide not to cross over. Okay, so whatever that means, we might find out more about that. So it's like, you don't cross over, well, then this would be your guide in a way. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see who else is on this shadow council. So we have Archangel Michael, we have Jesus, that was just so random. And I mean, it's not that random because he's like so freaking compassionate. And you know what is coming through right now is Jesus is always the example of never judging anyone. Like, he would sit with the prostitutes and the beggars. So now he's sitting with the darker realms, the shadow. He just never judges a soul. He's just so, so pure. And then we have the angel of death, and then we've got something else here. Let me see what this is. Feels very, what's the right word? Malevolent, I guess. One second. Okay. I just keep seeing, I push this away. I've told you guys before, if I see something and I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, I'll push it away. That's like a form of, it's a form of, let me find my words here for you. It is a form of testing your message strength. When you become a master channeler, you learn how to push things away. And if you push something away 3 times and it comes back, then you are on track. And the word that kept popping up was Lucifer, which is like a little bit intimidating. So, but I know that we're safe. And I mean, literally, we have Jesus here. And so they're standing, interestingly enough, on opposite ends. Like, if I could share the way, if I do it like this. So standing closest to me is Michael, then Jesus, then the angel of death, and Lucifer, the furthest away. But that's what we have so far for the Shadow Council. Again, this is a real council that serves as a go-between between the lower realms, which I'm going to call 2D, 1D, 0D. There is a video that you guys can check out on YouTube called Secrets of the Underworld, where I literally go through 2D, 1D, and 0D and tell you exactly what they are. But for now, we're going to be speaking to the Shadow Council and asking them some questions. First of all, I feel like I really want to thank them all for being here. In whatever way that they are showing up for us today to enlighten us and inform. I am very grateful for that. I'm also very grateful for my sacred space right now. So, okay, so we're going to get started with asking them questions about, I mean, really anything that we consider shadowy. We could ask about how their jobs, how the realms work, all these different things. Let me check the, Oracle of Avalon is asking, is it Azrael? Surprisingly, no. That would be, I mean, well, he said the angel of death, so I didn't hear the word Azrael. I won't say that I did, but I heard angel of death, so you got that it wasn't. Okay, so it's a different angel of death. Okay. Azrael, I feel like would show up more like made of light versus shadow. Okay. This may be where things like the archetype of Hermes reside, the Shadow Council. Okay. So let's go to the first question. I actually want to ask Nora's question first because I really feel like, oh, I've got people to admit. 1 second here. Okay. I really want to thank you all for your questions. And I want to ask, okay, just admitting a couple of people into the room. I want to ask first about sleep paralysis because I feel like that's going to be a loaded question for some reason. Okay. I just saw one of my very powerful angelic guides come down behind me and just put her hand on my shoulder like, you're fine, you got this. Like whatever is going on and you calm down. Okay, thank you. She's like, okay, sorry, I gotta share because it's so funny. My guides are awesome. So this is like a very, very high angel that works at the Grand Central Sun, just placed her hands on my shoulders and said, like, calm down for a second. Like, you've got this. You wouldn't have been allowed to even host an event like this if it wasn't going to be safe. Like, just calm down. We know Lucifer threw you there for a sec, but I promise you're safe and you're good. It's like, thank you. Thank you. Even channelers need a little moment, right? Okay, good. So now I want to ask this Shadow Council if they can please explain to humans what sleep paralysis is, because we go through this experience sometimes where we kind of wake up and we kind of don't wake up. And we can almost like, sometimes we can look around the room, but the rest of us is paralyzed. And sometimes we can barely open our eyes and we feel very paralyzed. And we would like to know so they said that all has to do with the soul, right? That all has to do with the soul. If it didn't have to do with the soul, then it could happen to you during the day. The reason why it can happen to you at night and why it only happens at night when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up is because it has to do with the soul leaving the body and either not being able to make its way back, getting lost, or getting blocked from coming back, which happens too. So this has to do with the soul evacuating the body and then something goes wrong for the re-entry. And they can talk about a couple of things what that is, but they just want you to know that sleep paralysis isn't just going to hit you in the middle of the day. This is how you know it has to do with the soul body connection. So when the soul leaves the body, which it does every night, all is well. But when it tries to come back, if there's a delay, it becomes sleep paralysis. There's just so many reasons why it could be delayed, right? Okay. So the first thing is your body has its own intelligence and your body starts to wake up before the soul makes it back. And that's when you experience sleep paralysis, right? So imagine the body wakes up, but there's no soul there. You would be paralyzed. You would absolutely be paralyzed without your soul. There's a little bit of consciousness that remains in the body always, even when the soul leaves, even during astral travel. This is why we have, when we astral travel, the silver cord of life It goes from the physical body to the soul. If it was ever severed, you would die. It can't sever. But the fact that it is there means that the soul is giving you a little bit, like low battery, like when your phone goes on low battery at 20%, you're getting like 20%. So you have some consciousness and you're still able to like breathe, have a night's sleep and all of that. But most of you is somewhere else. Okay, right? So as long as the silver cord of life is there, it's all good. When the soul tries to come back to the body, if it doesn't make it back in time, because it gets a delay, which we're about to talk about why you get delayed, the body freaks out, right? Because that little 20% of you that is conscious wakes up, and sometimes the most you can do is just open your eyes, or you can't even open your eyes, and you are paralyzed and you can't do anything about it. And it's very scary. You feel so completely out of control. You feel like something is wrong, right? Okay, another piece of this sleep paralysis is the delays. So the reason why a soul can be delayed is so I've had this experience before where I was off doing a mission, like a big spiritual mission. It had something to do with something really big, like it had to do with reptilians that were guarding this stargate, and we were trying to distract them. So it was all this whole big thing. And because of that, I don't know if I lost track of time or what happened, but my soul, I remember trying to race back to my body, and I remember my guides like whipping me through outer space like the wind. I was going so fast to get back to my body ASAP, because they were like, oh no, you're gonna like wake up before you're there. Another reason why is if there's something that happens in the room with the human, like something drops loudly in your room, something happens, like a loud sound, a loud bang, something, and it wakes up the human, but the soul's not there. That's another reason that there might be that weird delay feeling. And then there's like intentional delay, right? Where negative entities are either trying to feed on the soul, like we're not impermeable. If you are astral traveling in a lower realm and you get some kind of like something snagging on you and trying to pull you down and feed from you, that could delay you. But it could also go the other way. There can also be darker energies feeding on the human, right? And that wakes up the human, but the soul's not back yet. But the soul would be alerted immediately and race back. So that's why paralysis, it doesn't last that long. It's not like it's ever lasted for somebody like an hour, right? It's usually a couple of agonizing minutes, because it's like the soul's coming back. Don't worry, I've got you. But if you happen to be accessible, the human body was accessible to lower energies, as in you did not clear your house in a very long time. And so there's icky energies in your home. You've been watching like a bunch of Halloween movies and you didn't clear things afterwards. You've been going through something where you're really sick and your vibe is low. You've got the flu, or you've been going through depression or anxiety, something. Are you going through a hard time at work? Whatever it is, whatever lower energy opened the door to these darker entities that are now in the room with the human, they're going to feed on that. They can't feed on light. They can only feed on energies below neutral. So whatever it is that you're like creating, stewing in, like if you're anxious, if you're sick, even just being sick with the flu, having a fight with somebody that you love, all of that creates lower energies. And if you don't have a sealed off space, you haven't put up your wards, right? Everybody should be using the once a month. Inside the resource section of the membership, there is the clearing and wards with Archangel Michael. You clear your home, yourself, your pets, your land, and then you set up protective wards around everything. Be doing that once a month, right? Or your own version of that. Watch it once, take some notes, and you can do your own version of that. It's fine, but you need to be doing that. Anyway, I think I've gone on about sleep paralysis, and I think we really understand it, okay? All right, so let's go back to the questions here. Thank you, Nora, because that was a great question. What about the sleep paralysis creatures, dark entities? Oh, yes, that makes sense. Okay, good. Awesome. Let's go back to the top question here. So I've got one coming through from Veronica. Is there still free will in lower realms? Yes. What about in 0D, this where souls are stuck? Did they choose that? All right, let's ask. Okay, So in the underworld, when a soul gets stuck and is literally like deteriorating, it seems like they're like sinking into the landscape. They're like becoming weirdly misshapen. They lose their light. Sometimes they're being fed on by kind of looks like oh my God, what's the word? The thing from Harry Potter. It's like these black cloak beings that like go around like suck all the last bit of your love and light out of your soul, dementors. So okay, so does that soul that's literally in the worst possible state that you can be in, do they still have free will? Right away, Archangel Michael's like, absolutely, they have free will. It is their free will to either continue cycling over and over in their trauma loop. They're showing me like a mother who lost a child and is in the most amount of pain and grief. And you can't blame her for that. There's like, it's not about she's done something wrong. It's that she can't move past it. And this is a soul that dies in a traumatic way with her child. The child crossed over. They're showing me a real example here. The child crossed over, okay, went to its grandparents. The mother didn't. She was so upset about what happened. And it's this like looping cycle of emotional energy of trauma and pain and why me and why me and why this happened and why. And she just spirals down and down and down and down. When a soul does not cross over after it dies, it can stay a ghost for hundreds of years, but eventually it starts to, if it stays in that, you can only stew in lower energy for so long before you go down. Then you go down to 2D, 1D, and eventually 0D. You become shadow entities, dark entities, the gross, all the way down, you sink down, right? And you become like the shadow version of yourself, which is difficult. It is free will because though that what happened to her was not her fault, how she handles and responds to everything is only her responsibility. You could be like, you know, oh, just the worst things like raped or murdered or lose your child or be the bad guy, even be the one doing these crime and just sadistic things, like really, really dark stuff is how people end up in the underworld. They either experience something really dark happening to them or they do something really dark to somebody else. And either way, victim or perpetrator, if you can't take control of your reaction and find a way back to the light, find a way back to, okay, it sucks that that happened and I need to heal. So I need to cut the cords to this frequency. I need to, it's not as if they have to learn how to forgive the person right away, although that's, what people do up in the higher dimensions. Ascended masters are all about forgiving the people that harm you the worst, right? It's not even like you have to do that though. It's just that you have to decide you'd like to try to heal. Just even that tiny 1% of light coming in. Okay, I've been suffering long enough. I don't know what next step to take. I'm ready to do something differently. I'm ready to wake up for a sec from this repeat autopilot and go, whoa, is there a different way I could be, act, respond? As soon as they have that little flash of awareness, their personal angel comes to them like, hey, did you just call me? Hey, I'm right here, ready to leave. Like they do get multiple opportunities to be crossed over or taken. The problem is that the longer that they stay in that, the harder it is to have the moment of awareness. Like, whoa, wait a second. Where am I right now? There is none of that. It's just, I'm lost. I don't know. Oh my God. It's like a spiral, like a tornado of all of these emotions. Okay, so there is still free will. They're stuck down there. They need to have a moment of awakening. If they don't have it on their own, people like me, professionals like me, will go for my clients and do actual soul retrievals where we go and get it and wake it up. And then we can't cross it over forcefully because you're not allowed to do that. But we have to wake it up and show it its options. Do you really want to stay here? Or look at what we can do. Look who's waiting on the other side for you. That child that you lost, right? And very often, it's not 100%, but very, very often it works. And when I say works, I mean they cross over. Okay. Question for the council from Oracle of Avalon. Does a soul have to go through the darkness to find the light of ascension? Ooh, what a good one. Okay, let's find out. They said we would consider ascension the process where you forget who you are and then remember. And in the forgetting is the darkness. In the forgetting is feeling lost. In the forgetting is forgetting that you have the power. You are the creator of your own reality. When that's gone, that's dark. And it's not just humans that are ascending. There are many sentient beings throughout our universe, some humanoid, some galactic, some all kinds of different beings in our universe, big multiverse. There's many cycles of ascension happening where people agree to go through the forgetting. Now, Earth is very well known for a very strong veil of forgetting. There's no way you're getting away from it. When you are born, you go through the veil of forgetting to come to Earth, which takes away your past lives, your remembrance of who I really am and how powerful I am. And it also takes away your remembrance of your power and your soul gifts, right? The reason why children still talk about past lives for a little is that the veil of forgetfulness isn't like this chopping block. It's like, it's not instant. You go through the veil of forgetting, and then the soul forgets over the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years of life, especially as they plug into the programming of school, right? School's very heavily programming our children and not in a good way. So yes, veil of forgetting is the darkness of forgetting who you really are. The remembrance is the ascension. Great, great question. Wow, loved that. Okay. What about sleep paralysis? Oh, we already answered that. Okay, Sandia would like to know if you have shadow guides. Do they work with your regular guides? Ooh, Sandia's ahead of the game. I was planning on doing a shadow guides video for YouTube for my Halloween series. That's going to be coming out soon, but let's ask now too, because we can't get enough information on this kind of stuff. So amazing question. Okay, let me just ask this council. Do we all have shadow guides? Okay, ooh, that came through so strong. They said yes, but the only true shadow guides that you have are past versions of yourself or parallel versions of self. They're versions of you that have gone through terrible suffering and have maybe not chosen the light or have maybe not crossed over and then have found themselves down in the depths, right? A different being or creature or soul that is not a version of you from a lower realm might try to tell you that it's your guide. It is not your guide. It is not for you to be working with. There is no good to come from that. Unless you're into black magic and demonology, which I hope that nobody here is, but that is what they do. They work with demons. They work with blackest energies, right? Oh, sorry. I know you guys can always see when I pause, and it's always something weird. Sorry for being so weird, but as soon as I said they work with demons, and then I said they work with blackest energy, I saw that angel of death turn and look at me, and I was like, I just froze for a second. I'm cool now. Okay, what was the thought again? My poor little heart. Okay, the answer is yes, you can work with your shadow guides as long as they're a version of you, as in a part of the same oversoul, as in like your soul tribe, as in you, though. It feels like you can look at them and learn about their past, their Akashic lifetime, what they went through. Basically, how did they become a shadow being? And then you can learn from that, and then hopefully you can help them cross over, and then that's a whole reason to work together. They have a lot that they can teach you. And the reason why to work with them is obviously to help them. You can obviously help them by bringing them awareness of who they are, light, and help them cross over and get out of that bad situation. But they can help you by really helping you to move through your shadow work. They will, just by being in their energy, they will bring to the surface your own shadows so that you don't have to go digging for it. Like when you work with one of your shadow guides, your own shadows rise too, right? And they're almost like pulling that forward in you, and that's a great opportunity for you to purge out what you don't want in there. Another interesting thing about working with a lower dimensional being that is a version of you is that they have more affluence or power or what's the word? Ability to be protectors for you of other lower energies. So for instance, I won't call anybody out, but I know somebody that has a wolf shadow guide that is a version of them. So it's okay to work with this and still sacred space all the way. You don't just like, oh yeah, because it's me, it's fine. No, we still like super, super carefully protect ourselves. But this wolf guide was able to clear and protect and attack a poltergeist that was causing trouble that an angel was not able to clear. So it's like sometimes this is very interesting. I don't think anyone's saying stuff like this, and I hope that it doesn't get construed the wrong way. But sometimes an angelic energy is so non-physical and so far away that even though they're doing their best to clear and help, and it probably will work over time, maybe it take a couple of times, one of your own personal shadow guides is like right there. In fact, this wolf guide would like eat the other dark beings, right? So if a dark, it was kind of like a poltergeist, creepy haunted house situation. And there was this poltergeist that was physically doing things like walking over you or pushing you or giving you scary nightmares or sleep paralysis, all that kind of stuff. And this shadow guide of that person like came in roaring and like literally ate it. An angel's not going to do that. There was no problem after that. It was totally gone. It was like, whoa, as long as you're okay dealing with the intimidating energy of your own shadow guide, which it still is kind of intimidating. You're still going to feel that, but it's yours, right? In a way. Anyway, very interesting ways to work with shadow guides there and who they are and who they are not. And that is really important to know. Okay, good. Moving on to the next one. Oh, I just went back up too far. Okay, got one from Fiona coming up. Okay. Oh, there's something I felt about addiction being a negative shadow program. Oh, I feel that way too. And almost like the 9 to 5. Okay, like almost like a program, but I'm not sure how to articulate quite what I'm asking. I do understand. Is it connected to the shadow realm? Is there a psychic attack of sorts on those who hold a light mission? Yes, Fiona. What an amazing question. I totally understand what you're trying to say. Okay, let's get it from the mouth of the Shadow Council, though. So they are saying that addiction is the influence of a dark being, could be even demonic being, probably depends on the severity of the addiction, being present in that person's aura, in that person's energy field. Absolutely, there is a connection to that. Now, that person needs to be allowing or opening themselves up to that by not facing their problems. They're going into escapism. They're going to avoiding things. They're looking for ways to not have to do the shadow work. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to go back to their childhood to heal it. They don't want to do the things. They just want to turn a blind eye, turn a blind eye. When you turn a blind eye on your problems, it's like turning a blind eye on a monster, because your problems sometimes feel like this giant monster. You turn a blind eye on a monster and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Because giving it darkness to thrive in is very different than when you look at it and you shine a light on it, it gets smaller. So the more you turn away from your problems and wanting to deal with them, the bigger they get and they become like a monster. There's a lot of people that believe that we create our own demons and our own shadow beings from our own energy and problems. And this is one of those experiences where that could be true, where you've turned away from your problems so much that you've let them grow, and they take on a personification. They take on they become live, they become made into something, right? Not always the case. Sometimes that energy that you have behind you that you're unwilling to face just attracts something dark. However, addiction itself is like a psychic attack, is like something, I mean, this is something I've personally struggled with and I'm very open about sharing about. It is literally like having a voice in your ear saying, just one more. It's going to be okay. But it's okay if you just wait till Monday to not do it. It's okay if you just wait. The summertime's a really hard time to get clean. Wait till the winter. It's just not the right time now that it's winter because this and this. It's like it's going to convince you with words of honey and like it's going to feel so much better. Just come with me. Let's just do a little. You don't even have to tell anybody. You don't even have to be embarrassed. It's just our little secret. You deserve it. You've been through so much. Nobody else understands. And it's like that is so dangerous. That is so dangerous. Absolutely, that is. We could call it a psychic attack. We could call it what it is, right? It's like us either creating demons or attracting demons through ignoring massive problems that we are not dealing with. But once you go down the road of addiction, you know how people say it gets its claws in you? Take that literally. Take that literally, like something clinging, a dark being, like clinging. I'm seeing like creepy, bony fingers like clinging into someone's aura and whispering all this crap into their ear and into their heart. Very intuitive of you, Fiona. All right, let's move on. Thanks, Jenny. Sandy is saying, but how will you differentiate between the two, your past self or the other being? So this is going back to, should we work with shadow guides? How do we know if it's a past self or just some crazy shadow being that is there trying to maybe even trick you into working with it? This is where, excuse me, this is where training up your psychic gifts saves the day, right? This is just like when people say to me, well, how do I know if I'm channeling something evil or something divine? It's the same idea. How do I know if I'm working with something evil or something that is actually like good for me to work with or going to help myself in some way? You need to train up your intuition. You need to be able to know, you need to be able to hear, see, feel, and know what is true, right? If you can't trust that, what can you trust? You only have yourself, because everybody else, and when it comes to something like that, I would not trust somebody else to decide for me. I would need to know. And I would really lean into clairsentience. If we want to get really specific, I would really lean into clairsentience. Clairsentience is clear feeling. It means I can feel energy. It is a lie detector. It is like you are a walking lie detector. This is what empaths are able to do. I would be able to tune into that being's energy and feel if its words are not matching its intention, right? If it's saying, oh, I'm going to help you, I'm going to work with you, but I'm getting bad vibes, it's a no, right? But if it comes to me and I feel like, whoa, I feel like a strong sense of familiarity. I feel like I know you. I feel so much compassion for you. I feel so driven to find out your story. I feel like I know you from somewhere. What happened to you? I need to help you. That's a different feeling. And you'll know it's two very different feelings, right? Okay. Oracle of Avalon is asking, is a demon's name necessary to banish it as a light worker? And how do we discover the demon's name if we have to? Wow, what a great question. Cannot wait to hear the answer to this. Okay, so asking the Shadow Council, if we are being bothered by a demonic being, and it is very persistent, and we've tried everything to clear it, does it come down to needing to know its name, its true name, to actually banish it? They're saying while names do hold power, there are instances where demons have been banished back to the underworld without the person knowing the name. If a demonic being is bothering you and you've been working to clear it with Archangel Michael, with your protective guides, with your dragons, with light language, with sage, with all of the things, then we suggest that you find someone of equal frequency or higher than yours to come together and work together on that problem, because just like there is power in a group meditation, it doubles the frequency. There is power in this partnership of somebody helping you to do that. If your frequency alone is not, for some reason, able to clear this demonic entity, it is not a reflection on you not being powerful, or you not being truly of light, or a reflection of you failing in any way. It's just that when a demon has been in its demonic state for millennia, thousands, think thousands and thousands and thousands of years, they're showing me like you spill ink, you clean it up, there's still an ink stain. There's always still this remnant, and it's going to take time and practice and help from others sometimes to truly clear that stain once and for all. They're saying we do not want you to feel like this is just like something that happens often. A true demonic experience is rare. They are not the common problem, the way that dark entities, ghosts, different levels of entities like poltergeist and different things like that are much more prevalent and interested in bothering humanity. It's like their playground, much more interested in where can I get my next meal. And demonic entities are feeding on souls in the underworld and tend to be more engaged down there, if that makes sense, and don't really kind of come up to our realm all that often. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I know we all know an instance, right? When it is truly a demonic being, it is going to be at least 10 times more difficult to clear. Not to be scary, but it's just true, because I've been through it at least once. And the power to truly clearing that demonic entity, other than getting someone to come and help you of equal or higher frequency, just to be extra battery power to the light. Another way to do it is to, I mean, there's no other, basically what they're saying is another way to do it is to find out its, like kind of what Brian said, like find out its story, find out its name, find out all these things. If you are not able to do that, you can get a professional to do that for you that you trust. And honestly, dealing with demonic beings, you kind of want, if you're not like, what's a good, like professionally trained in it, it's not really something you want to fool around with anyway. So that's probably where you get someone whose specialty is literally to deal with that. There's people on this world that have specialties in everything. There will be a person that can help you if you can't do that. They're saying never give up, because the persistence doesn't mean it's never going to clear. It just means it's a pain in the ass, and they really like to be a pain in the ass. So definitely don't give up, because everyone can clear it over time. It's just how long is it going to take? Even like I said, even if you were a single person trying to clear it and you were struggling, and say you didn't have a person you could bring in with a matching or higher frequency, you'll still do the job. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. So stay on it. Make it a daily, I'm clearing daily, clearing daily, clearing daily, trying different things, different ways of clearing, light language, sage, researching different ways to clear, playing very high. They just said they hate like angelic music. So go onto your Spotify and get your 999 hertz music and blast it in the house. They'll leave. Like fill that house up with angelic frequency and love, and ignore them. Because when you give them attention, it just gets bigger and bigger. You ignore them, you just keep going with the clearing, and you'll find that it will eventually like just fade out. If it's really, really, really persistent and clinging, then there's a personal connection, right? Like we said, with you having shadow guides that you feel are familiar, or you're like, whoa, I feel like I need to help you. If you've asked Archangel Michael, clear it, if it's not for my highest good, clear it from me, and it won't clear, then there's something about this lesson that is for your highest good. You either need to learn how to do this, you need to learn how to set boundaries, or there's an Akashic connection between the two of you. Can you imagine? I've been there, and it's not fun. I hope that answers it. I wouldn't want somebody to think that they couldn't clear it and they had to hire a professional. However, I would think that it would be a lot faster if you did. And they would also be able to, if they were like a actual like honest to God channeler and clearer, then they would also be able to tell you what its name was, what its story was, and why it was bothering you. When you figure out the why is when you get the clearing fully. You always have to figure out why. Why is it bothering me? What about me, And then you can fix whatever that why is. I hope that made sense, Brian. All right. Okay, Carolyn, is a Ouija board always a portal to darker realms, or does it depend on how it's used? Can you invite a dark entity in inadvertently? Okay, I had this written down that I wanted to ask about Ouija boards, so thank you for bringing that through, Carolyn. I think this is a really important topic. So I've channeled about Ouija boards before, but I don't want this to be about what I think. Let's ask the Shadow Council, because that's the whole point of this. So I'm going to ask the Shadow Council, which seems to have grown because I was standing here with 4 people and I was talking for a while. And when I turned back to tune in, I'm feeling a lot more beings, but I don't think I think it's just more people being interested and perking their ears up. And I think the council is obviously bigger than 4 people. I think we knew that. And I think a few more of them are realizing, oh, this is actually interesting. I do want to be a part of this. Let me just step in. So we've got more council members here. And a lot of them look like they're on the shadow end past these darker guys that I told you about earlier. Okay, sorry. Back to the Ouija boards. I'm going to ask the Shadow Council, do you know what a Ouija board is? They said Ouija boards existed before it had that name. People call them spirit boards. People call them message boards. Yeah, like Ouija is somebody that capitalized on the idea of something that already existed and then made it what it is today. So let's ask about that. Okay, so they said, think about how a Ouija board works, okay? When you are asking the being to speak to you, first of all, like no one's setting up a sacred space, and that's how you inadvertently just like open the door to anything. Hey, any spirit here? Let's talk. That's how most people start. Are you kidding me? Of course, there's going to be a ghost or something nearby that's going to be like, hey, cool, want to talk? She doesn't have a sacred space of light set around her. So what can I snack on? Oh, she's got some inner child grief in the heart. Oh, I see, she's got a headache. Like whatever they can snack on, they're going to. Like it's like you're basically saying, I'm a buffet, come have a snack. Like, hey, anyone want to talk? Why would you do that? You would not. You would set up a sacred space before you channeled or anything, right? But let's get back to the Ouija board specifically, because that's just more about sacred space. The Ouija board specifically, or the spirit board, is built to work where something physically moves the little triangle. But to physically move a physical item in a physical dimension is not an angel, because they don't move things physically. If angels were able to physically move items around, then they would be doing that all the time in your home. They'd be like, oh, here's a book. I will open it right. You need to read this for today's message. Let me grab you an oracle card for the day. Let me put the crystal you need on your forehead. Like they'd be taking care of us. They are so far away from us frequency wise. Think if they start in the 12th dimension and we're in the third, that is way too much dissonance between us for them to have a physical like ability in this realm. So by just the way that the Ouija board works, it tells you who it's for. Who can move physical items? Do you know? Does anybody here know? If you do, pop it in the chat. Like think paranormal activity, right? Veronica's saying ghosts or lower beings. Sometimes ghosts can. Poltergeist. You guys got it. Nora, Fiona, poltergeist. A poltergeist moves physical objects. What is a poltergeist? A poltergeist is a ghost on its way down. Okay, you know how I said if a ghost hangs out for hundreds of years, it starts to gain the strength of its lower energy, of lower emotion. If it was stewing in shame or anger or fear, it's just cycling around in this and around and around. It loses that kind of airy ghostiness of like sometimes you can perceive of it, sometimes you can't. And it starts to sink lower into this more, what's a good word for it? I guess it's not necessarily physical, but it is a denser. They're saying the word is dense that you're looking for. It becomes denser. Instead of this little cloud, it becomes this denser, like, what's ghost goop called? If anyone knows this, I'll be so impressed. If there's like a goop that ghosts can make. Oh, and it's poltergeists if they can make it. if they can make the goop that I'm thinking of, then they are definitely a poltergeist. If they can move the little thingy on the Ouija board, ectoplasm blew my mind. Brian coming out with that. How do you know that? I know of it. I couldn't think of the word. Good for you. Ectoplasm. That's what it is. That is a poltergeist. A poltergeist is a ghost that sunk down lower than its original ghosty state, and it's going to continue to probably go lower and lower and lower. The lower they go, the more powerful they get in the darkness, right? And then we end up with demonic beings that can do a lot of physical things. So I guess that answers the thing, right? About, does that answer, excuse me, the Ouija board thing? Because if they're able to move the little thing around, we aren't dealing with the Fae. We aren't dealing with an angel. We aren't dealing with an Arcturian. They are not physical to us. They are physical in their own realms. The thing about physicality is when you match their frequency, it becomes physical to you, right? If you were to match the frequency of an Arcturian, well, then they would be physical to you. But that's not something that we can do in this realm. We are in the 3D, we are in these physical bodies. These physical bodies aren't even built to go that high of a frequency. It's like, you know, racing your car way beyond what it's like rated for and then crashing. Like it's just not going to happen. But the beings that can move things and can be physical are darker beings. So whomever created the board, the original creator of the board, absolutely knew that, right? Absolutely knew that. It has a very dark origins story. I do have a YouTube video on that. And the dark origin story is that the person that created the Ouija board knew that it was like opening a doorway to lower realms, knew that those were the kinds of beings that are very, very sticky and hard to clear once they come through. They can cause problems for like a couple of weeks and you're so frustrated you can't clear it. It's not a ghost either. Like if it's moving something, it's malevolent. It's darker than even a ghost. It's like it's lower than that. Okay, good. Okay. So yes, what the reason that they created that was for that. And so the person that originally created that is not the person that made money off of it. The people that originally created that were the witches. It was the witches, right? It was the witches that were okay with dipping their toe in a little bit of dark energy. No judgment. If that's what you want to do in your own place, go ahead. But that's who created it, was the witches. And then it got commercialized, capitalized when people found out about it because it was something that really worked. And it's something that, I mean, there's a lot of tools like that where you feel like they don't work or people are faking it or whatever. But this is one of those things where a lot of people think, oh no, it works because you can feel it. Okay, let's go. Moving on. Thanks for the question, Carolyn. Are dark reptilians on sort of the same wavelength as demonic entities? No, they are not. Dark reptilians are actually of a higher vibration than humans. Maybe not emotionally and in their heart, but technically with their biology. Reptilians are actually like what people call like a fourth dimensional frequency, right? So in the fourth dimension, we still have polarity. We still have good and bad. We still have this battle between light and shadow, dark and like this whole mindset of that. And so there are good reptilians, light reptilians, and then there are evil, evil, evil reptilians. A dark reptilian would be like a human serial killer. Are they demonic? No. But do they have a demonic attachment? Probably. A serial killer, right? That's dark, 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 like no conscience, no care for what it costs to get what I want. Genocide is fine with me if I get my way. That's a dark reptilian. That's also like a serial killer. They probably in their aura are attracting all of that because they would be quite a buffet to feed on, but they aren't actually that themselves. Okay. Yeah, Ghostbusters, I think, said ectoplasm. Plasma. You're right. Yeah. Okay, good. Good, good, good. All right, let me see what else I have. So the other thing I had written down for questions that we did not cover was possession. I think that that's something that I don't know that we all fully understand. I'm not sure even I really fully understand how it happens or why. And I do think that that would be a great way to kind of bring this video to an end. So I'm going to ask the Shadow Council, what's up with possession? Like real true one. And let's just see what comes through about that. Okay. So I'm going to ask the Shadow Council if they can answer, how do people become possessed by dark entities, demons, ghosts, all of that, where it literally takes over their body and moves for them, speaks for them, like it's in their body acting as them. Is that real? And why does that happen? And how does that happen? It's real, they said. Okay. So yes, it is real. You can be possessed by different kinds of things. The worst kind of possession would be demonic, and it would make you very physically ill, very nauseous, very sick, fainting, puking, not able to eat, like deteriorating. If you didn't clear it, you would actually die. That's the most extreme case. But then we go into like, well, shadow entities, dark entities, ghosts, like there's this whole gradient scale, and depending on the darkness of the being and the strength of their character and personality would be how obvious it was. Okay, so they're saying, oh, let's talk some mild ones. So some mild examples of possession are when people say they black out when they're drinking and they don't know what happened, but then they have people telling them, no, you said this, you did this, you did da 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 da. And they're saying it's not just people running on autopilot, it is something coming in to take over. And they said that's why alcohol is called like spirits, and people believe that it allows the spirits in. So blackout drunk is very dangerous, right? That's a whole a different level of drinking. That's like literally you black out and then you just carry on, but you're not you. Like, how creepy is that? They're saying other substances, but that was a good example for them to use. Like other substances would create the same effect where you like vacate the premises and something else comes in, but that is temporary. And then you wake up and you're yourself again. But it's the way worse of a hangover and everything because now you've been um just tarnished energetically. Okay, so that was a mild case of possession. Let's see if we can understand the other ones. Okay, so then they're showing me like an intentional possession. They're showing me like a ring of, again, like witches or Wicca, or I don't know the kinds of people that would do this, but somebody that creates like a ring and then they call up a demon or a dark spirit or whatever. And then they like, usually they use salt as the ring and they summon, that's the word, they summon something. It takes if you want to summon something really strong, like we're talking demonic, it takes like more than one person. If you want to summon something in the lighter gray scale of this shadow stuff, then you could probably do it as a single person. It does help to have their name in that case for sure, but you can do it by repeating over and over and over that you are inviting them in, you are inviting them in, you're inviting them in. If you summon something into your space with intention, it's an invitation, right? It's like when they say don't invite a vampire in. Well, if you invite something like that into your home, then it could absolutely possess you because you've given it an invitation, which is a whole other green light energetically. You gave your free will basically for that to happen. And then they're saying then there's people that literally summon it with the intention to be possessed, right? They themselves maybe like let me just mute whatever that is. They themselves maybe like I see someone like, the ring of salt, I see someone like stepping over it into the ring with it. That's an absolute invitation. You're giving your free will to be possessed like that. Okay, is there any possessions that happen that are against someone's free will? Because they're saying the free will in the blackout drinking is like, bye, like you're the one leaving. And then if you like invite it in, then that can happen. But is there possessions that happen? Like we see all these horror movies, has a lot to do with like churchiness or I don't know, whatever. And it seems like the person did not want that and it's pushed on them against their own will. Is there Is there instances where people are forcefully possessed against their will? Okay, they said yes. They said yes, there is, because if you think that every being in this multi-dimensional universe cares about free will, wake up, is literally what they said to me. The people that care about free will are like us. I mean, hopefully, but not even a lot of people on Earth. They're saying even on your own planet, there are people that overstep free will all the time, right? What does that do? Karma comes for them all in the end. Karma comes for them all. The tables will be switched, and they will be the one having their free will stripped away, usually in a worse situation than what they created, because they were the perpetrator. They now have to experience it like tenfold. So even a demon has karma. Even everything is going to have that coming for them. They will also experience that retribution, but yes, it can happen. However, it's written in the soul contracts. So believe it or not, there are many people that have these kinds of things written in their soul contracts. I will be, like in a car accident, or I will, and they're saying soul contracts are not super specific as we think either. It's more like people saying, I will allow this frequency of an experience to happen to me, and that could manifest as either a car accident or an illness. So it might not even be as specific as we think. But if you are allowing possession, not allowing in this lifetime, but have it written in your soul contracts, it's either because you have something very big to learn from that, because when it happens to you, sometimes we are activated by darkness. When it happens to you, something goes off and you're like, no, and you learn your boundaries, you learn about your gifts, you learn how to clear demons for others. Think about somebody that grows up in a haunted house and they're activated into being a medium. They learn how to speak with the dead. Well, something like that could happen to someone whose actual purpose it is to clear and get rid of that. So in a way, it serves like a higher purpose in that way. So they're showing me that it's in soul contracts if it's supposed to teach you something or repay karma to you if you've done something. And then Archangel Michael just said, I know, especially in a video like this, talking with a shadow council, he said, I know this is really hard for you guys to understand from the limited perspective that you have, but if you could see things from my perspective, nothing happens that is not for your highest good. And he says, I know that that's very controversial, and no one wants to hear that, and no one believes that, and they say it's bypassing, and they say it's this and this, and he's like, it is what it is. If it's happening to you, it's for you. Whether you're repaying karma, whether you're balancing karma, whether you're whatever you're doing, whether you're learning from it, whether you're going to be strengthened by it, whether it's that experience is going to help create you who you need to be, like in the future, like whatever it is. Archangel Michael says he firmly believes, after watching like millions, billions, trillions of human lives play out, that it does not, that your highest good is ruling, that if everything, even the bad stuff that's coming, it's for you. So anyway, that was a long answer. The short answer on possession is yes, it can happen. Yes, it does happen. There's extreme situations. The little ones are the blackout drunk and the playing with the Ouija board. That's an invitation. That's an invitation. If somebody gets possessed when they're using the Ouija board, why do you think? Did you just invite them in? Because that board is all about invite them in, right? Hey, is anyone there? Would anyone like to talk? Come on in. You're inviting them in. You are opening a door with free will, a free will open door. Come on, communicate with me. So if they push your boundaries a little by slipping into the body for a couple of minutes and freaking out your friends and you, that's a boundary push, but it's also like you also opening the door to that. Okay. We have to learn to not do that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, let me see. When people on the crazy church videos get possessed by Holy Spirit, who are they really possessed by? Oh, okay. Um, okay. So what's coming through about this was from Jesus. And he says, okay, watch the judgment because your version of light language isn't much different, right? When people are like calling on divine angels, come to me, speak through me, heal me, and then they speak in gibberish, it might have a fanatical edge to it, which makes it sound like, oh, hurts, our soul in some way because it's kind of fanatical and they don't maybe have the balanced views that we do of everything. But people do not have to be experiencing a spiritual awakening to speak light language, connect with angels, be possessed by Holy Spirit. Those kinds of things can really strengthen a church's hold on their congregation, right? Because they allow something like that, or they facilitate experiences like that. And then they show this stuff is real. And then the congregation is like in their grasp and they're never going to leave because they're like, this is the real deal. But then that church takes advantage of people through this lower patriarchal programming and financial stuff. Veronica, can we try to clear someone of a possession if we don't tell them about it or have their permission, like they wouldn't be open to it? Good question. Let's find out. They said the only case in which that would work if it was a baby or a child that was not an adult. And in that case, the parent or the family members, the guardians are responsible. So then they can. But if we're talking about an adult, it's like then the answer is no, because it's like when you go to clear, when I used to clear homes for people, if I go to clear someone's home, I can't claim the space because it's not mine. So I take the homeowner with me because they can at least claim the space. They don't have to walk through the whole thing with me, but I at least need them at the beginning when I say so and so is claiming their space, and then they say this is my space or something like that, right? It's the same idea. They need to claim themselves back. And if they're not going to do that, I don't know, you might be able to, but it would be almost like a fluke. Like you need them to claim their space. You need them to cast it out. Ah, Fiona. Ooh, and that would explain how addiction creeps in when we were talking about the blackout stuff. Yes, yes, yes. And then addiction tends to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It gets there, and then there comes a point where you're like on a steep hill downwards and oh God, that's absolutely, you're just gathering either darker beings or stronger, darker beings. Okay. Brian, I got scolded by Jesus. Not scolded, not scolded. I don't think he would do that. But yeah, it's like, well, watch the judgment, because what's light language if we're not speaking gibberish together? It doesn't mean it's not real. I love light language. I know it's real, but what's the difference? And Veronica saying, I know someone who's having that happen and killing them, it's affecting the whole family. Then someone needs to talk to them, right? Someone needs to talk to them. Because even if they would just be willing to try it, like if I had somebody like my mom or someone like was like totally not a believer in any of this, and I said, Mom, I'm seeing a dark entity attached to your certain organ, and you're just going to get sicker and sicker and sicker until you clear it. And then she'd be like, you're crazy. Like, I don't even know how to do that. You don't need to do anything. You just need to say, it's okay for me to do it. Please just let me try. It can't hurt you. Let me try to do this energy clearing for you. Oh, fine, go ahead. That's permission done, right? So you just got to get it somehow. Okay, I've learned that judgment is the shadow of ego. Okay, perfect. Awesome, you guys. All right, I'm going to leave it there. And I feel like we covered so much. Thank you so much for your incredible questions. Just do a little ending clearing for y'all. If you already left, don't worry, it will reach you. If you're watching the replay, it will reach you, don't worry. But I want to do a quick cord cutting. So I'm calling on the blue light of Archangel Michael to come down over your aura now, like a light weapon, coming down over the egg of your aura with a sharp blade, slicing away anything at all that is below neutral in the frequency scale. We are just going over the aura all the way around. Let me go all the way around with it. It's a blue light weapon, a sharp blade going down the aura. And then we're going to go under the aura as well. Then we're going to call back on the white light of God source. Come down in through the top of the aura, please. God source, send your white light in through the crown. Take the inside of the aura now and fill that up with beautiful light. Please, Jesus and Archangel Michael, dismiss the shadow council completely. Send them back where they came from. Please cut any cords between me and the Shadow Council or anyone watching in the Shadow Council. Please turn away all eyes that are in the lower realms from us now. They are all losing interest in us. All eyes are turned away. White light blankets down over you and seals the ground below you so nothing can rise up from below. White light sealing the ground below you, sealing up your aura, filling in your body, all cords cut. All energies or beings or consciousness below neutral now cleared. And so it is. Okay, beautiful. Thank you all so much. And I hope that everybody has a great rest of your night. And we will be back for more Halloween events and videos on YouTube. See you all soon. Bye, everyone.